Okay, thank you for introduction. So I won't repeat. Our company is based in Moscow, Russia. We're doing a lot of technical stuff, both for the software, which we sell to government and law enforcement around the world, and we're also doing some security research, some for the software, for our software, and some just for fun. Some of you probably attended my talk at a previous conference last year here, was talking about the iCloud keychain. And actually iCloud is one of our main targets. Apple doesn't like that much. Is anybody from Apple here? No? They usually follow me on many security and hackers conferences. And they're doing their best to prevent our software, not only our software, from working. Still, it's quite an interesting topic, because a lot of information is collected in Apple iCloud. This year, that's a new research. I haven't presented it anywhere else yet. And we started to explore the other categories of data stored in the Apple iCloud. And Apple Health seems to be really interesting, because a lot of information is collected. And today we're going to talk how the data is stored, how it is encrypted, and what are the ways to obtain it. Apple Health was introduced 4 years ago with version 8. And the Health app is pre-installed it's a part of the operating system. Also, it is really confusing application. When preparing this presentation, I've made about 20 or 30 screenshots of different Apple Health features, and they're really confusing. Some of them are overlapped, and some of them have to be accessed from different parts. But still, it's really good and provides a lot of interesting stuff. It makes use of the health application and health kit on the iPhone, on the iOS system. It makes use of different low energy sensors available from different vendors, working usually by Bluetooth. And the health app is always active and collects information from all the sources available, starting with the iPhone itself. And the best support of the Apple Health data is implemented in Apple Watch. Basically, there are 4 main categories of data in Apple Health. There is activity, how much you walk, run, or swim. There are nutrient data, breakdown of your diet. There is some data about sleep. It's not really well collected. Actually, you have to use the third-party hardware for that. And there is also some information about mindfulness. It's also not developed well yet. Probably we haven't seen how iOS 12 is about that. Probably better than in early versions. And there is also additional data categories: body measurements, health records, heart rate, medical ID, and the results of different tests. Also, Apple Health supports clinical document architecture. It's now mostly it is available in the US, but starting to spread across other countries. That's the data you can obtain from your hospital and upload manually to the iPhone. So that data will be stored also along with all the health data collected by the iPhone itself, and also by Apple Watches and the software and so on. Unfortunately, we were not able to test that because it's not enough to have the Apple ID registered in the United States. We have a lot of test Apple IDs in different countries, but also we need to access the medical records themselves. And for that, you have to have medical insurance in the US and in proper hospital. Also, recently, about half a year ago, Apple introduced the Apple Health records, which many hospitals has joined that program, and also numbers is increasing. And there is a connection through the health key to that data to exchange in both sides. So from the iPhone to the remote storage and in the reverse side as well. Apple Health records include information about allergies, chronic diseases, and also the lab tests, prescriptions, studies, and also the basic health data as well. Apple provides the way to exchange information with the health data. There is quite a lot of third-party applications for the iOS that can read and write health data from the iPhone. You have to manually set the permission to read and write the data in every category. And the question is, do you trust the security of all those applications? The Apple Health data on the iPhone itself is more or less protected. I'll explain you why more or less. But third-party applications theoretically may collect the data from the Apple Health and upload to some servers located anywhere, maybe in China, somewhere. And there was quite a lot of leaks of the iCloud data. You probably remember Celebrate that happened 3 years ago, when private photos of celebrities leaked from the iCloud. And you can probably imagine what is going to happen if health data is the leak. Can it leak or not? Let's check it out. Apple Health data collects from various sources. First of all, you can of course add some data manually by entering onto the iPhone. Also, it collects the data from the devices that support HealthKit. The first and best one is Apple Watch, but there is a lot of different fitness trackers. And sometimes they're much more powerful than Apple Watch itself because they're recording various parameters not available in the watch. And there is also data collected by third-party applications. About Apple Watch. Apple Watch contributes a lot of data to the iPhone because it includes a lot of its own sensors. And most of the health applications also compatible with Apple Watch, this or that way. They appear on Apple Watches and it's convenient to start. For example, when you start a workout, you just press the button and the Apple Watch starts recording the data, which is more accurate than on the iPhone itself, and immediately uploads it into the iPhone. It also checks your heart rate on a regular basis, and that's a really good idea. And Apple Watch already saved a lot of lives because of that. If you're not a doctor, you cannot probably detect some anomalies in your heart rate, and that's what Apple Watch does for you. And Apple Watch Series 4 also includes a feature as an electrocardiogram. It seems that it will be available only in the US, but let's see. Also, a new exciting feature from Apple Watch is a fall detection, and there are 3 different fall patterns, and it can automatically call the emergency number. By the way, it is enabled by default only for people older than 65 years, but for younger people you can enable that yourself. And that's also a great source of that, I would say, evidence. For example, when discovering there's some criminal case, you can understand, detect the time of when the crime has happened. Most of the data is synced to the cloud, and Apple Watch doesn't store much data itself, and most of the data is just uploaded to the iPhone and available only there, and from the iPhone it goes to the iCloud. About third-party applications, the most popular ones are Strava, Workouts++, Nike Plus, and there's quite a lot of them. Health records and medical ID, by the way, that kind of data is not synced with the cloud. And for every category of data, there is a list of recommended third-party applications. For example, for sleep, Apple Watch doesn't work well. You will have to use some other tracking. And also for every application, again, you have to manually enable the permissions to read and write the data. What about security of Apple data? If you watched the recent Apple presentation, I have cut a small fragment from it. Let's see. Oops. Where is the sound? There's a sound on the laptop, but not there. Okay. So I will just say what was there. They were concentrating on the privacy, and they said that the data only available to you, and the data is encrypted on both the device and the iCloud. Let's check it out. Is it really so or not?
It's still protected.
Still.
At Apple, we believe your personal information.
Okay.
Series 4 is the ultimate guardian for your health, the best fitness companion, and the most convenient way to stay connected. And with all these amazing features, of course, your data is still protected. At Apple, we believe your personal information belongs to you. You should decide who you share it with and who gets to see it, period. All your health and fitness data, it's encrypted on device and in the cloud.
Okay. In fact, it isn't really so. The health data is stored in 3 main files on the device. You can check that out by making a backup of your own device and checking. The 2 main, they're stored in private mobile library health folder. That's after restoring the complete file system of iOS. 2 main databases is HealthDB SQLite and HealthDB Secure SQLite. Don't be confused with the secure in the name of the file. There's absolutely no difference with unsecure database. There is no encryption on that database at all. I had absolutely no idea why they added secure. The only secured and encrypted database, it's not an SQLite format, but some custom data, is HealthDB secure.hfd. People trying to analyze the data stored there, it's not clear yet what data it contains, but probably it is a training geodata with latitude, longitude, and exact timestamps. But still, that kind of information is available in the cloud. So, about the structure of those 2 databases, they're quite simple. The first database, HealthDB SQLite, mainly contains information of different data sources that include both the software and hardware, the third-party trackers. And the HealthDB Secure SQLite contains the health information itself from different sources, and of course those 2 tables are linked between each other. It's not really easy to interpret all that data. There was some prior research of that, and quite a nice analysis by Heather Mechalik. You can have a look at the presentation called the Forensic Exploitation of iOS Health Data. It's a really good source to understand what is inside. Here is an example of the data. It was extracted from backup, and you can see different categories of data. There are clinical counts, data providers, sources, devices, and so on and so forth. So here is how HealthDB Secure and HealthDB databases are connected. Every record has the unique identifier to understand what particular source the particular data comes from. For For some data types, there are just numbers, and there is no description, obviously, not even in the health kit libraries provided by Apple. And what we have done when analyzing that data, we just collected some, and just to see how they appear on the iPhone, what category the particular data falls to, and then compare with the data from the SQLi databases. That's probably the only way to explore that data, because reversing the health application, reverse engineering, it is really hard. It's not available on macOS, unfortunately. Probably one day, maybe in iOS version 13, there will be also a kind of health application for macOS system, and that will make it easier to reverse engineer how the data is stored and how it is uploaded to the cloud and so on. At this time, we mostly analyze the data itself in the databases, and also reverse engineered the protocols of exchanging the data with the cloud. In HealthDB all the data is stored as object, including the ID and the source where this data comes from. And there is also a timestamp stored in standard macOS format. There is a type, there is some numerical data I told about, and the samples are linked with the samples table via the identifiers. There is also category samples that may contain non-numerical but text data or block data. And they correspond to the, for example, to the list view selection in the applications where you can choose between different parameters. And so they're stored usually in plain text. Here are the information of some of the tables in HealthDB Secure we were able to understand. And there are objects, samples, quantity samples, category samples, correlations, and so on. And that information, unfortunately, also not available in the health kit data. So usually we used again the same approach by comparing the data we have found in the table with the actual data how it is shown in the health application on the iPhone. And here is also a known to us the HealthDB table, tables in that particular database, the sources of devices and key value pair, which is standard for most data collected by us. Why it is very important? Because the acquisition of the health data is only a part of the work, and next you have to interpret that data. And also, when we downloaded the data from the cloud, it comes from a completely different format. And also, we had to compare the data that comes from the cloud with the data that is stored on the iPhone. And when we download the data from the cloud, we recreate manually the HealthDB and HealthDB secure databases, trying to find the matches. What are the ways to access the health data on the iPhone? There are various approaches. First of all, you can export the data from the health application itself. There is an export button. It's well hidden, actually not so easy to access. You can also get the health data from local backup created by iTunes. There is an important note that the health data is stored only in encrypted backup, only if you set a password to iTunes backup. If you don't set the password, health data is not exported. Also, you can perform the full file system acquisition of the iPhone, and basically you'll get much more data than available in backup. But about the health, it doesn't make a difference. Exactly the same files can be obtained related to health. You can also, speaking of yourself, if you want to get your own data, you can also request that data from the cloud by submitting the GDPR request. Now it's available only in the European Union, but Apple promised to implement about the same in other countries. Also, if you work for government, There is a special page on Apple that describes how you can get access to the data stored in the iCloud. If all the documents are in order, you can obtain everything including the health data. And finally, there is a cloud extraction. So here is how to export the data from the health application itself. You have to go to health data and find the export button in the top right corner. You'll get, after some time, you'll get a huge, usually it's from at least 300 megabytes per hive in zip format, which will be uploaded onto your iCloud drive, and it contains 2 XML files that are not really easy to analyze. That's one way. Much simpler is to create a password-protected backup using the iTunes. Okay, so the second way, and it is pretty easy, is to create an encrypted backup of your iPhone. If you don't know the password, but it has set already, you are no problem. You will have to break the password first or use a physical acquisition. If the password is not set, you have to set it, otherwise the health information will not include it into backup. So make backup, decrypt it, convert the file system, and access Apple Health data. The main 2 databases stored in SQL data format, as I noted before. And some of the forensic software, like the one from Celebrite, if you're familiar and working for law enforcement, does support some of the health data, probably not all of them, because of the same problems as we experience it with how to interpret all that data. If the password is set, not known, and you were not able to break it, and the password to the iTunes backup, there is a more complex way, and that's probably the only one you can use. You'll have to acquire the full file system from the iPhone. That way the backup password is ignored and you get more data, but the problem is that you'll have to jailbreak the phone first, and now jailbreaks are available only for versions up to 11.3.1, and that's it. There is a company called Gray Shift located in the US that says that they can acquire the file system even without jailbreaking. As we know, they don't reveal much information about that. They're using actually the same exploits as the jailbreaks are based on. And so to raise the privileges on those, and that way they're able to treat all the data, not only backup. So if you are able to jailbreak, it's not that hard. Actually, if your system is compatible, then you will either use the forensic software to pull all the data from the iPhone, or you can do that manually and absolutely free, connecting by SSH to the iPhone and perform tar commands, acquiring all the files from there. But again, that is needed only if the backup is password protected and you don't know the password. Under the GDPR, it's available in the European Union and several other countries like the UK. You can go to privacy.apple.com, complete the form. Of course, you will have first to authenticate using your Apple ID and password. And if the account is protected with 2FA, you will have to provide a second factor as well. And request what data you can get from the cloud. If you can do that, if you're living in the country that does that Apple process such requests for, I would hardly recommend you to do that, just to see what information is available in the cloud. You probably will be surprised. That's a long process and usually takes about a week. And you'll get the data in multiple text and database formats. Something is in SQL, something is in XML, in text and SQL databases. What about storing the data in the iCloud? You probably checked your account settings, iCloud account settings on the iPhone, and you can select the categories you want to sync the data, starting from contacts. and also it has mail, photos, calendars, Safari, and so on. And one of the items there is health, and it is enabled by default. So if that option is enabled, most of the health data from the iPhone also go to the iCloud and being synced with your other Apple devices. Well, actually not the MacBook or macOS-based system computer, but only across the iOS. There is no health application on the macOS yet. And so all the data, not only natively collected by the health application, but also collected by the third-party applications connected to health, it also goes there. The only two categories of data that is not being synced is a medical ID, which is unique to every device. For example, you can share the same Apple ID with your kid or with your wife. It's not actually recommended, and that's a bad idea, because a lot of data will be synced, and you cannot disable that. But anyway, different devices always have different medical ID. And also the CD records don't seem to be synced. We weren't able to verify and to confirm that, and so we're not 100% sure, but it seems that they are more private than other health data. So, if the data is stored on the iCloud, it can be obtained from there, like any other category. Of course, you will have to have the proper credentials to the iCloud to be able to get it. Also, one other important note is that the Apple Health data is not included into the iCloud backups. So it's only being synced with your account, but as far as it isn't unique, except the medical ID to every device, it is common and shared across all of your devices, and that's probably the reason why it isn't included into the cloud backups of the device. The data is synced between the device and the cloud and on a regular basis. We haven't checked exactly, but it's probably some of the data is being synced every 5 or 10 minutes, like all other categories from notes to messages. Some of the data is being uploaded to the cloud only after a device reboot or after some changes are made to the cloud account, and also one of the triggers is creating the iCloud backup. As I said, the cloud, health data is not included into cloud backup, but forcing the iCloud backup to create also forces the cloud health data is being synced with the cloud. The data is stored on the iCloud drive, that's since version 9, I think, as well as the backups and other synced information. It is split into small chunks because some data may be exactly the same in different files and databases, and so to keep space. But about the encryption, as you probably know, all the data in the iCloud is encrypted and the encryption is strong, but the keys are stored along with the data, not on the same servers, because Apple don't have much of the facilities to store the data, and they're mostly renting the data storage from Amazon, from Google, from Microsoft, and so on. So your data may be anywhere, actually, except China. For Chinese iCloud accounts, all the data are also stored by Chinese data providers. And the encryption keys to decrypt all that data is stored only at Apple facilities in California. So that way data is more or less secure. So if someone will get physical access to the service where the data is stored, they still won't be able to decrypt it because the keys can be obtained only from Apple. However, if you have the proper credentials to the iCloud account, you can get both the data and the encryption keys. And here, we remember what Apple said, that the data is encrypted in the cloud. But it is actually stored exactly the same as all other categories of data, except just two most secure one. the iCloud keychain. It is encrypted much stronger than the other iCloud data, and also messages in the cloud that was available since version 11.4, they're also encrypted additionally. But the health data is encrypted the same, and once someone gets access to the cloud account, he gets everything, including the health data. So the approach for obtaining the health data from the cloud, the same way as, for example, notes or contacts. We have to receive the encrypted file chunks first, and with the chunk we also we request the zone list. The zone is the area in the iCloud where the particular data is stored. We also need to request the zone sync data when the data was synced and can be accessed right now, because sometimes when the syncing is still in progress, you cannot obtain the data yet. You have to wait. Then we send another request to receive the file links. The links will be to the particular chunks stored in the iCloud, and finally we have to download files. The files will be still encrypted at that point. Exploring the zones is a problem, because also there is no documentation for every category of data stored in the iCloud. We have to sniff the traffic between the device and the iCloud and understand what particular zone and category and container the particular data goes to. It's virtually impossible to sniff the data between the iPhone and the cloud, but it's much easier to sniff the traffic between macOS system and the cloud. But as I said, health application is not available on macOS, so we still had to sniff the traffic between the device, and that was hard because certificates are pinned to prevent from man-in-the-middle attacks. But for jailbroken devices, we were able to solve that problem and so read all the traffic from the device. So here is an example. I won't read the code, of course, how the request is formed and what data we return back from the cloud. That's only, of course, a very small part of the engine that accesses the cloud. Once we downloaded the chunks, there are no complete files stored in the cloud. We can only download chunks, and for every chunk we received also the encryption key, and first we have to unwrap the key and then use that key to decrypt the particular chunks. And only after that, the decrypted chunks can be merged into ready-to-analyze files. That works, as I said, the same as with other data stored in the iCloud. So the main program at this point was only to identify the particular zones where the health data is stored in the cloud. The second problem is that the data being returned from the cloud, it is not just healthdb.SQLite file. We received different protocol structures in return, and we have to parse them. And what we're doing next, we understand what particular category that data falls into. By comparing with what is actually stored onto the device, and we compile about the same database as stored on the device, because this information, how it looks like after returning from the cloud, is basically useless. It's too hard to analyze it. If you want to get the data from the cloud, or if you want everyone to prevent downloading your data from the cloud, what can go wrong when accessing the cloud data? The main protection of the cloud data is two-factor authentication. Again, I think on Selectgate that happened. At that time, iCloud backups were not protected by two-factor authentication, and so it's pretty easy to obtain the passwords to the iCloud accounts using phishing, for example, some other methods like social engineering. And once you get the Apple ID and the password, if there is no two-factor authentication enabled on the account, you get all the data stored there. And two-factor authentication is really good protection. So to access data in the cloud, you will, with 2FA enabled, you will also need to have the second factor. And second factor is either a trusted device, or you can also authenticate by SMS. And so if, for example, the phone is locked and so you cannot even see the notifications there, you can just pull the SIM card out from the phone, insert it into the other one, and receive the second factor authentication code, and so access all the data. Also, one important note that it is possible to still fool the two-factor authentication even without the second factor. It is possible using the authentication tokens that can be obtained, for example, from Windows desktop or from macOS desktop. If they are connected to the same iCloud account, then the authentication token that is created after successful authentication is saved in the system. It is encrypted but not too hard to decrypt it. And using that token, you can access basically the same information as available using the Apple ID and password. There are some exceptions. Some of the data is protected better. For example, you cannot get the iCloud keychain using the authentication token. We're still working on that, and probably we will be able to access the keychain using tokens, but at this time you can only do that using the password and second factor. And also, starting with iOS 11.2 with the account with two-factor authentication, also the token cannot be used to obtain iCloud backups. All the categories that are being synced between the device and the cloud, they can be obtained with the tokens. And I don't know why Apple decided to protect the iCloud backups harder and make the authentication stronger, probably because of some leaks of authentication tokens or some malware that can steal the tokens from the device and access all the data, even if the account uses the 2FA. So back to the cloud syncing again. What categories of data is being synced with the cloud? Now we know that health is almost completely synced, except the medical ID and CDA. Of course, the contacts, notes, calendars is being synced, and if you enable the Safari syncing, then you will also get the bookmarks and the tabs opened on all the devices and reading list and the complete browsing history. And also the call log is being synced, and there is absolutely no way to disable the call log syncing with the cloud until you disable the iCloud Drive completely, which will make the iCloud almost useless. And call logs are stored, I think, for at least 2 weeks in the cloud, and so they can be accessed that way. Also, the iCloud keychain, of course, is being synced, but to access it, it's not enough it isn't possible to use the authentication token. And even using the Apple ID and password and the second factor, you can still have a problem, because another kind of protection is that to access the iCloud keychain, you need to know the password or passcode of one of the trusted devices to be able to enter into the so-called trusted circle, and so that part of the information is well protected. About the messages, both iMessage and SMS synced into the iCloud, it is also protected better. It is additionally encrypted than the message data, and the encryption key for messages synced to the cloud is stored into the iCloud keychain. So you will have to pull the iCloud keychain first, and for that, as I said, you will need to know the passcode of one of the trusted devices, and only this way you will be able to access messages. I have no idea why Apple decided that health data is not so important, and so encryption of health data is not different from other categories. If I were Apple, I would protect it about the same way as the iCloud keychain and messages, because it's really critical information. So what's next? And that's what is we are working at on speaking on the iCloud. We're almost done with the health. Most of the data is already downloaded and compiled into the same format databases stored on the device itself. But there is actually more, especially in iOS 12. iOS 12 now can also sync voice manners into the cloud, and so everything that is being synced, it can be obtained from the cloud there. Weather and stocks, it is actually since iOS version 9 or 10, I don't remember. That doesn't seem to be very useful information, but it's still being used by law enforcement for investigations. And two other very interesting categories is home data. That's all of your devices that use the home kit, that's starting from the home pod, and different sensors, thermostats, lights, and so on. So you can, by getting access to the cloud, you can also get access to all the data collected by all those devices. And the one we're also working hard on is the screen time feature in iOS 12. Previously, all that information like the application usage by time of the day and the exact times when the application was started and what was active on the screen was only available in the files that can be obtained through physical acquisition of the device only. That data were not included into items records. But now with iOS 12, most of the data is being uploaded into the cloud, if of course you have enabled the screen time syncing across the devices, which most of the people do. And so the detailed application usage can be also obtained from the cloud. Okay, that was it. Thank you. Any questions?